Well, we got a couple important notes here before we get started, and I'm glad I noticed it before we went ahead with the combat. It has to do with the attack helicopters. And I was looking through this rules, and I did notice I seen this twice. And it is under the air missions. We have offensive combat air missions. First one's aerial counterinsurgencies. That's not the problem, or not. That's not what I noticed. But you went to the next one. All right, well, bombardment strike missions. That's fine. That's where you're just adding a bombardment value. What do we do here? Yeah, you're just adding your bomb. You're just bombing them with the points that you got. Nothing else. Go into the hex, throwing a couple points at them, and see if you can reduce them at all. The next one here's where we get interesting. Helicopters can do close. What's the difference between close air support missions and ground combat support missions? And I'm glad I seen this before we had our combat, because there's a big difference. All right. Close air support missions do during your air mission phase. You have to use one or more bombardment value required. On this hex here is bombardment values right there. It's a 1, so we can only use 1. And what that does is give you a +1 die roll modifier. You can have up to 3 max, +3 to the battle. All right, so we would just add 1 plus die roll modifier. All right, bombardment's okay, close air support's okay, but the real gem is this one right here, ground combat support. So instead of close air support, we're coming here to ground combat support. Offensive ground air stage. This one here, the helicopter can stay in the hex, but I think it's not required. Now remember, this CIA helicopter can only land here and here. It can't really stay in the hex, but I don't know if he's landing or what here. We'll have to look at this. Commie attack helos can do during the commie ground and then remain. Right, let me see. The Allied ground air stage. 3 choice up to combat. Let's see here. Let me see. All right, it says here it requires them to remain in the hex, and that's something this unit can't do. But let's see here. During combat, it adds its ground combat attack value, which would be a 2 to the overall. Say we had 3 combat attack values with a ground unit. We'd add 2 to make it a 5. But you can add your ground combat attack value plus a 1 column shift in your favor, whether you're on the offense or defensive. So on a close air support mission, you use your bombardment value. In the ground combat support mission, you use your ground combat attack value. So 2 different things. Close air support 1, ground combat support 2, and a column shift. So it's a no-brainer. We'll definitely use him. Now, what the procedure is, I got to look at this again. We'll be right back. All right, well, it says you do this. Oh, let me see here. Right here. Form an offensive mission during the Allied ground and air stage. Well, there really is no ground and air stage. There's a ground and air phase, so I'm guessing that's what they mean. Because right now we are on the, hard to do looking through the camera, air mission phase. So does that mean a stage? I don't see the word stage in any of these things on this sequence of play. Let me look and see if I'm wrong here, but movement base, no stage. It's a ground unit, reorganized ground unit movement. So I'm assuming they're meeting the air phase, which is fine. So we'll move him here during my air stage, which I just did. We'll move him, like I said, to the combat hex. Oh, we gotta figure all this out. It's like performing surgeries. All right. Let's see here. Commie attack. Halos can do. Blah, 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 blah. Alright. So we're going to have combat. He'll add the 2 to the overall attack factors and get a column shift, I think, to the right. Now, after the combat, I get 3 choices. The target hex is friendly because the units have been eliminated. It says the helicopter can stay. Alright. CIA helicopter can't stay, but it can. Alright, so that's fine. We don't need it to stay. Target hex is hostile. It means you have to return to base, which is required. I mean, this is all common sense stuff. Alright, and it can return to any supplied hex during a return. But in our case, the CIA helicopter can only go to these 2 spots. So I'm pretty sure I am using that helicopter to perform a close or ground combat support mission during my air stage. Not a close air support mission, and not a bombardment mission. You got 3 choices: bombardment, close air support, or ground combat support. And ground combat support can only be performed by attack helicopters. I'm just now noticing this in parentheses. You can see here. Close air support missions by air units and attack helicopters, or bombardment strikes. So here you go. That's another difference between the 3. It's that ground combat support can only be done by helicopters. We are there. Thought we were going to go into combat, but I went ahead and looked, and yeah, we didn't miss it. We just caught it in time. And there's definitely a big difference between those 3 missions in this game. We'll be back. Alright, well, after watching my video, I did see... I caught it out of the glimpse of my eye, but there you go. Communist ground and air stage. So they're talking about the whole stage here. So that'll work. I mean, that could have been more specific, but yeah, we did find the word stage on there as per the rules. So, what was his name? McQuaid. Old James McQuaid is on it. Sorry there, James. Be right back. All right, now on further review, big caveat in this game. And I noticed in this game I do have my favorite words I seem to use. I need to look at the dictionary when I shave in the morning and get new words because my word inventory is kind of low. But anyway, let's get on with it. And like I said, this is a learn through. We ain't playing the game yet, but my opponent is going to be in for it when I get done with all this. Look at this here. All right, and we can. I'm going to go back and redo this. Start here. Allied attack helicopters can perform a defensive ground combat support mission during the communist ground and air stage, and then move to another hex to perform an offensive mission during the Allied ground and attack helicopter. This is what kills me, though. Can only move once per turn. Okay, I don't understand that. If you're doing both of these things, how can you only move once? But it's my simple mind just saying it here, not figuring it out. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Have a ground combat value of more than 0, which it does. Contributes its value only to 1 attack in the ground combat made by friendly units. Hold on, I got to read this. I'll be right back. Alright, well, after all the mumble jumble, I come down here because I can kind of figure it out. And you have to, I would have had to have done this. I couldn't have moved them there during the communist attack like I was going to do. But this kind of clears it up here in this little paragraph. After combat is resolved, the attack helicopter faces several possible situations. Now this, well, let me see here. Oh, hold on. All right, well, the thing I'm really worried about here is this defensive combat air missions. So ground combat support missions, defensive. That's what I wanted to check out during the communist attack on my units. Going back over here with this ground combat support mission, and it says offensive, so it's during my during my turn. I guess I missed. I'll look at this one anyway. But here's how this one goes. He'll stay in that hex where he's at. After the battle, there'll be 3 choices. If it's friendly, he can stay there, but you rotate him a certain amount of degrees, which I'm thinking means that he landed, but the CIA helicopter can't do it. The CIA helicopter's got to go back after this round of combat. But if it wasn't a CIA helicopter, we'd have 3 choices. All right, so at the end of this, the CIA helicopter is going back. Now, earlier, when the communists attacked my base here and inflicted a hit, I'm going to go read this to find out what I could have done. I'll be right back. All right, well, this is key here. Allied attack helicopters can perform a defensive ground combat support mission during the communist ground and air stage, and then move to perform, turn the page, and I think there's an offensive mission during the Allied, an attack can move to a hex only once to perform this mission. Must be in the same hex. Attack helicopter must be in the same hex as friendly supply ground units that are being attacked. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, so he had to have been there. We can't do that then. I was maybe going to fight this over, but I think we did the right thing, because the requirement was that the attack helicopter had to have been there first. He couldn't have flew to the attack when it happened. I guess that makes sense. Their attack would have just come in at a certain time. Hey, we're attacking, and by the time he gets there, the attack might have been over. So only if he's in this hex can he go up in the air, perform a defensive mission by adding his ground attack values to the overall attack value. Had a column shift in my favor, probably going this way. And that was only if he was there. So that's what I'm finding out here. Requirements. The attack helicopter must be in the same hex as a friendly supply ground units that are being attacked by enemy units. There you go. That takes that out of the picture. So we're doing everything the right way. Game integrity intact. It is still my air combat phase, and I am performing a ground combat support mission with my helo. All right, we're dissecting it like a lawyer. We're getting it all done by the book. And the thing of it is, once you get to know it, it's easy. It becomes more familiar. But the way that they constructed the game to make it realistic is really good. I mean, it's something you got to get down pat. But once you do, you can see why they do it. It's fun doing it. It's fun learning how to do it. So far, the rules have been pretty clear in this game. I haven't had anything that's really too much of a mess up. Now, there was that incident that we did find something in Board Game Geek about what was that about? I forgot what that was even about, but I cleared up a bunch of stuff about the CIA helicopters. One guy was playing it where the CIA helicopter can land any place. Another guy said no, they got to land there at the 2 spots, and I'm with them. They got to land there at the 2 spots is what the rules say. All right, we'll be back with more legalese in Central America's, or victory games in Central America.